What's up, guys? It's Wheezy here, and welcome to another episode of the Founder Academy. So we're going to start off the video here by jumping right into it. I got a really big pull this week, so what I wanted to do was show you guys the SBC right out of the way. We did the 7 Club Challenge, relatively cheap. As you guys can see, I had a lot of these guys first owner. They were just, some of the golds were just hanging around my club. Really easy. All you needed was 2 hard links. And I think I only paid maybe a couple thousand coins, maybe like 2,000-3,000 coins. So we do that, and you get a FUT birthday player. So the FUT birthday players, there's a lot of garbage in them. On my main account, I thought I was going to get a good player, but I ended up getting Welliton, who not necessarily very useful to me. I don't even think I've used him. So with this one, I didn't have huge expectations. I wanted to get David Villa. He would have been a big pull. But considering we have an EPL team, look at this for a pull. Right out of the gate, Daniel Sturridge, the man right there, 91 pace, 86 shooting. Talk about a perfect player for us to get, especially for an account that doesn't have a lot of coins on it, because we've only got, what, about 20 games, not even 20 games in this. So like for us to get a player like that, he goes for about 85k, I think, somewhere between 65 to 85k. On the PlayStation. Huge pull, so very happy with that. So I wanted to jump right into some games, you know, get him into the lineup, see how he did for us. So we come up against this guy. His team, interesting kind of take on a Spanish team here. He did have Thomas Muller in there, and he had team of the season PK, and I don't know who that other team of the season is. Look, he looks like he's from the Belgian league or something like that. But a Spanish team, I'm going to assume that those are the untradables that he did in some of the SBCs, but still a pretty decent team. You know, Diego Costa, Thomas Muller, Thiago, David Silva, some guys that, you know, we would like to have in our team. But, you know, the main man, Daniel Sturridge, is definitely somebody that I'll take at this point in the game. So as we come up against this guy, we were having some unlucky breaks at the start, so we did have to sweat our first goal there. What are you going to do? You know, I just wanted to get him on the score sheet. I'm not massive on sweat, especially because it's not even that consistent this year, so I don't necessarily encourage sweating balls over to players. But with that being said, Daniel Sturridge does have his first goal for the club, so a good one. So as you can see, this guy wasn't necessarily that good opponent. I feel like in Division 7, the division that we're in, you're going to get one of two types of teams. Divisions like 8, 7, 6, you either get like really good teams and guys that have been playing with really good teams but aren't the best players, or you're going to get really good guys that are playing with like crap teams like bronzes and stuff like that. So if you come up against one of them, you know you're going to be in for a long day, because the bronzes, you know, I'm not going to get into handicap again and stuff like that, but you know, I do feel like the bronzes play way above their heads. Even though they are bronzes, you're still probably going to stomp them. But if you can play with like a full bronze team that's like full chemistry at this point and get to Division 7, you're probably a really good player, and your team's probably playing pretty decent. So as we are going to the gameplay here, you can see it was just an onslaught. Like I wasn't forcing balls to Sturridge, but I was finding that he was getting open anyway. He is left-footed, so, you know, just cracking shots with the guy. I was trying to kind of pussyfoot a lot of my shots, which is what I think I said in the last video, is that I was finding myself really trying to finesse things and try for the low driven. So like I need to focus on just hammering shots, especially in these divisions where you're getting a lot of keepers that you know, can make these stops, and a lot of players that don't have like, you know, the shootings of Lionel Messi's and Ronaldo's and whatnot. So you just need to do, sometimes you just need to walk in and traditionally, old school style, just smash a ball into the far post. So that's what we did with Daniel Sturridge on that second goal. But this guy was kind of resorting to just like sprinting and trying long shots and stuff like that. He did whip in a cross there that caused problems for my keeper, but you know, you can kind of see the momentum of the game here. We hit a couple bars, hit some posts and stuff like that. But Daniel Sturridge, again, you know, 3 goals in his first game, the hat trick, that is a really good sign. So now I feel like we've got half of our strike combo. My goal is to get either Aguero or Alexis as that other striker. I'd really like someone speedy up there, because Daniel Sturridge isn't the strongest, but he is fairly tall, kind of lanky. I don't play a lot of crosses in, but I don't necessarily want to smaller strikers, even though I use that on my main account. I use Team of the Season, Aguero, and I think it's the second or third in form, whatever the highest rated Aguero is. So Alexis Sanchez and Aguero are, you know, 2 smaller guys, but I just play like a real speedy game. But they do lack some things in terms of like coming up against really bossy defenders. They're capable of holding off players, but they're not necessarily going to cause a lot of problems for opponents in the box. So we do come up with a 3-0 win here over this guy. Like I said, he wasn't necessarily the best opponent in the entire game, but you know, he did have a decent team. They did cause some problems, but not, at the end of the day, not really too hard. We did jump right back into another game, play Big Ol' Willie, which is a great name, so credit to that guy. And, you know, this guy, when I saw his team, which you'll see in a second here, I was kind of sweating a little bit. You can see, like, this is what I was talking about. Bronze team, only the right side's connected. I don't really know what he's going for here. He looks like he went with a Bundesliga. It might even be a Bundesliga 2 team, but that left side, just a total nightmare. But this guy's in Division 7, so I don't know if this guy used another team and then is just trying out these guys. But when you come up against a team like that, you're just kind of like, okay, Division 7, this guy obviously has some ability, or he'd be even further down, even though it's not that hard to get out of Division. It's 10 and 9 and 8 and whatnot, but you know, you still have to do it, so you still have to beat somebody. You know, you could easily be 0 and 20 by the time you played that many games. But he did cause me some problems. He was going very offensive, which was another, I credit him for doing that. With that team, he was really pushing. He was really high press. So the other thing that I find with a lot of these lower divisions, I haven't played them in a really long time because my other account I basically got out of there within the first week. And one of the things that I noticed with a lot of these lower divisions is the guys really, they go high pressure and they really rush. So I don't condone that, especially like on higher divisions, which probably a lot of you guys are at this point in the year. Because you obviously you're just gonna draw players out, and it's easier to get in behind. However, it is effective tactic in these early lower divisions because the players don't really necessarily that you're coming up against, like not the players but the actual players in game, like they don't have the ability to really they're not tactically as gifted. You know, you're not finding the Messis and Ronaldos and Suarez's and Neymars and these guys in these lower divisions as much. What a block there by the defender. I forgot I put that clip in, but should have been an easy goal. Should have been 2-1 there, but the defender comes in and makes a really big stop for me, so that kept me going. But anyway, so like in the lower divisions, well, I don't know what the keeper is doing there. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted by the gameplay here. I don't know what the keeper was doing on that one. You'll see in the replay here, this is the one that made it 3-0, but look at this keeper. I don't know if he meant to pass that. Shocking, shocking, but that's what you get with bronzes. But anyway, so back to my point. I'm a little all over the shop here. But with these lower division players that you're getting in these lineups, they aren't tactically as gifted usually, so you don't have the ability to kind of quickly play these passes and get in behind. You know, if you were using team of the season players, team of the year players, or really even high rated golds at this point, or informs or whatnot, you're going to be able to play that ping 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 and then get in right in behind. These guys are a little bit slower, they're not as agile, they're not as high rated as passing, so you're not finding them the ability to get in behind as much, like as this clip just shows exactly what I was meaning to do. But when the guys are rushing forward, the defenders, even when they're bronzes, they're coming up and they're intercepting more balls than you think they should. I don't know if it's the computer gifting it, but the high pressure tactics work fairly well. You know, again, I don't suggest doing it all game, but it can be an effective tactic if you can do it and counter using it. But I don't condone it for anybody who wants to really get that far. Like I said, it's only really useful in these lower divisions. So back to the gameplay here. We are 4-0 up. Could have easily been 2-1, but when we put on the man Smolov, that team of the season that I got in the last episode, which I really wanted to play with and show you guys, you know, he is a total beast. I don't necessarily want to build a Russian team, so that's the only reason that you haven't seen me do that. But to bring him on as a super sub, you know, 92 pace, 92 shooting, and he's just a total tank. He's got great finishing. He comes in and just slips the ball past keepers, which is exactly what I want. You don't get that with the Andre Grays and Rashfords and even the Gabriel Jesuses that I have in my team. And you know, they're okay shooting, but they're 70 rated something shooting. But when these high rated players, like I think of like Mauro Icardi, they got really high finishing. They're able to just dink past the keeper. They're able to just get little slip balls past the keeper and score goals, and that's really what I need, because I don't rifle a lot of shots. I like just finesse style goals. These types of goals, when you're in that much space, I've learned you just need to hammer them because guys are really aggressive with their keepers in these lower divisions. But in higher divisions, guys aren't bringing the keepers out, so you really need to finesse shots. Or if the keepers are coming out and challenging you, you just need to slip past the keeper in order to score goals. So it can be really, really challenging at that point. But that's what you need to do. You need guys with high finishing. So it's one of the things that I look for in strikers almost all the time. It's basically my highest valued stat on any type of striker that I get. Pace is obviously a really big one as well, but finishing in terms of their shooting stats for a striker for me is probably the number one thing. So we do end up beating this guy 6-1, I believe was the final. He was really pushing. Credit to him, he had a bronze team, so for him to really be pushing, try and score goals. He does get one at the end, so shout outs to him for scoring his single goal there at the end. But this was never really a competition. 6-1, that shows you, the gulf in class between the two different teams. My team is not world beaters, but at the same time, I do have a team this season. I don't know if I used Daniel Sturridge in this. I might have been wrestling him. No, it looks like he's on the field. But yeah, we did get on the score sheet with Smolov, so he goes out there. Daniel Sturridge is causing problems. Gabriel Jesus has actually been a really good striker for me. 5-star skill, 5-star weak foot, I think. So all these guys are starting to spread it around. So we do start building somewhat of an attack, and I am going to bring Smolov on as a super sub, especially during games where there's tight contests and I do need a goal. So we do win the division title, so that's a big one. We get, I think, 4,500 coins out of that. And what I did was I went into the SBCs and I looked for value. So I really wanted some high-rated packs. I needed contracts, some fitness stuff, and I just needed to start filling up the club with stuff. So what I was looking for was valued SBCs that I can go out and get for relatively cheap. When I say cheap, I'm looking for good packs at basically 5K or less is kind of like the rule of thumb. So I think that one cost me about 5K, somewhere in there, to do Hoffenheim. But it did give us a 25K rare gold pack. I like these packs a lot. Even if you don't pull anybody, which I didn't really, I pulled the Spanish Bilbao keeper, Ariza Bagala, or whatever his name is. Ariza Balaga. Ariza Balaga, I guess is the way you pronounce that. Sorry if I butchered that terrible pronunciation. But we get Bernat and we get Apter. So nothing really solid in there that we can super get a lot. We can get a lot of coins for back, but 1,100 coins for Bernat is probably the max that we're going to get out of there. But we do get some fitness cards. So like I said, things like that. This center forward to Cam, that's going to sell for 3,000 something. So for basically a 5,000 coin pack that cost us, that's a really, really good value. So I am really happy with being able to go out and spend 5K and essentially get your money back. So if you can flip all those guys, even at this point, shiny golds are going for 700-800 coins. If you can flip even the 3 of those at your minimum, you're looking at what is that, 2,100 coins. So that's half your value of your pack back, and then you can flip hopefully the squad fitnesses if you pull any. So I think in that one I pulled 2. So those go for about 1,400 coins a piece, and then you can flip any contracts if you really want to for 2,500. But at this point, I need the contracts, and then hopefully you get some position changes. Position changes do sell as well. So I think I got my money back on that one, even though I didn't pull anybody big. But the risk to pull somebody like a big name player or a big inform or something like that is totally worth it, especially for 5K. So there's a couple of those in there. You just have to really search through them. So as those guys are selling, as you can see, some of them kind of started to trickle in there, and we are at about half our money back, and the money's coming in. I did go out and I got all those kits that are sitting in the catalog at the top. So as those start unlocking, the more games that I play, the more things start unlocking, and I can start buying them. And the kits and balls, I can just start selling them, even at discard. I don't think they go for that much, but even if you get 1,000 coins or less than 1,000 coins, it's still coins in the bank. So we did have 7,100 coins, and then we go out and do another valued SBC, which is Southampton. So this one cost me, I can't remember what this one cost me, about 5K as well in order to do it. I think the highest valued player was Cedric. It was 900 coins. There was a 700 coins, but a lot of them go for about 400 or 500, especially because they're non-shiny or they're non-rare gold cards, so they're very easy to get, very common on the market, and you know, they're super cheap right now because so many people have done these already. So for whatever reason you're like me and you're crazy and you decide to start late, or you do want to start a fresh account, you know, go out and do a lot of these SBCs. They're really cheap. Again, we don't pull anybody for this rare gold pack. Regani, I think, is going to go for like 11 or 1200 coins. Danny Ings discard, Cohen Trout basically discard, I think he's like 700. Lapadula is about 700. So you know, you can discard them or you can sell them. You know, 700 coins, 700 coins, but there's a few, you'll usually get at least 1 or 2 cards that are about 1,000 coins. We don't get any fitness cards back, but we do get a lot of contracts, which I said are, you know, going to be valuable for us, especially as we start getting players that we want to keep in the club. And we do get a couple of stadiums there that I can use, so we can finally get out of the FIFA Interactive World Cup, which is basically just another Stamford Bridge, but whatever. So we do use the London Stadium, and then I was kind of on an SBC type of roll here, so I went out and did one of those really cheap beginner ones, which I think was like hybrid leagues or something like that, and it basically gives you a 2 rare gold player pack. So again, we don't really pack anything of crazy value. These guys would be useful if we were using Serie A league teams or La Liga teams. Donnarumma is actually a keeper that I highly recommend, even his, you know, non-informed card there. And then Teo, both of them sold for, you know, less than 1,000, but on the higher end, so about 800 coins, somewhere in there. We do go out and get Fabian Delph. I was starting to get players that were getting fatigued, so I did want to go get Fabian Delph and just use him as a center mid that we can kind of rotate through the team. And then we're going to jump right back into a game. So as you guys can see, basically what we're doing is our team is at a point where I'm really happy with the starting lineup. Now we're just trying to feed the bench so that we can have good players at all times, even when we need players to kind of come in relief. So Fabian Delph, I don't necessarily recommend him, but he is a player that is going to be a utility guy, at least for this game. So we come up against this guy. I don't know what this guy was building. 5 at the back, though. Look at all those red links, like just a total nightmare. But again, as I said before, you know, these guys playing with like bronzes and whatnot in Division 7, he must be capable at some point. He does have a couple of dangerous players in there. He's got Koeman in there. And I think he had Max Gradle. They're playing center mid as a left wing. So like all these guys should basically be totally unusable. But it is, at the end of the day, a 5 at the back team. So as you guys are going to see in this game, it was very frustrating because the 5 at the back, look at all the players that are just rushing. It almost felt like he was just double, triple teaming. He wasn't a good player, but he wasn't a bad player. He was very frustrating to play against. This game and the next game were both games that I played in the morning, and I had really poor connections at this point. Like, as you guys will see, some of the frame rates kind of choppy in it, and there was a lot of lag. The next game was worse, but this game was bad too. And lag, I don't like to blame lag for losses, but you know, it's amazing how lag can really affect you, because especially as you're starting to get into some more competitive games, you really need to be able to ping the ball around. And there's so many times where you're passing the ball 1-2s, kind of keeping the ball moving, tiki-taka style, and then the game will lag, and you've already like hit a button, so you're hitting it, and then when it comes out of the lag, your player will like turn around and kick it backwards into nothing, into like nobody. He'll just hit it backwards randomly, or he'll just kick it out of bounds. Like, he'll just pass the ball out of bounds, and it's so infuriating because that happened to me so many times in this game. I probably should have kept them in, but there was so much of it, it was just useless footage, so I decided to keep it out of the game. But this guy was just, he wasn't causing me problems at all. He was just running at me like senselessly. He was just kind of like sprinting down the wing and trying to whip in crosses and take long shots. He wasn't necessarily a very good player, but he was just defensively, he was so frustrating. But we do get a penalty. Smolov ends up hitting it into the keeper, bounces around, bunch of aids, and gets his goal there. So that's all I cared about. I would have been frustrated if I was him for stopping that and it bounces off the post and you do all this nonsense, but I can't say that it wasn't deserved. I mean, I was creating more chances than him, and not only just creating, but actually playing instead of just sprinting mindlessly down the field. This is a clip that I decided to keep in here. This is exactly the epitome of this game. I should have whipped the cross in earlier, but button leg there, when I hit the top of the box, I tried lobbing it over, and the ball or the button didn't register, and he just ran straight. And then as soon as the player was there, that's when he decided to identify that I'd hit the cross. So those types of things were just happening all games. You guys can see the frame rate's just super laggy here, and it was just so frustrating. And then he does things like that. He just wraps around slide tackle. Like, it was just one of those games where you just go, you either rage at the game or you just go, you know what? This is just what it is. This guy I had so many of these chances, especially later in the game, where he had one guy against like 3 guys of mine, and his one player, like, maybe it's just a testament to me attacking poorly, but like his player would cover the entire field as I was like ticky-tacking the ball across. His player was running down the passes, and he would make some last-ditch tackle, and then he'd dump the ball up and sprint down the wing. It was just an infuriating game to play, but at the end of the day, a win's a win, and especially in FIFA, you guys know that you have to be able to just, you know, swallow your pride, and you have to have a really short memory, because if you have a long-term memory, you'll just drive yourself crazy. So we did have one other chance at the end of the game here. That was just me screwing it up. He was being very aggressive with his keeper, but I think that was Gabriel Jesus. Actually, it might have been Smolov who was in there, but I think I should have just finessed it around his keeper, but it doesn't really matter. You know, in this division, we just basically want the wins. That's all we really care about. So we do sell a lot of these cards. Donnarumma, 800 coins. Rugani, 1100. Wow, I'm surprised I remembered all the prices that I got for these guys. So we do get some of the coins back. It isn't going to write off the cost of that, but the risk reward in that case, definitely a value for us. So we do sell Delph as well. I found the Delph, I don't know if it was the lag that was causing me to get so frustrated, but I basically, out of frustration, sold Fabian Delph. He was just really terrible. I only used them for 1 game, so I don't necessarily condone trying one guy for 1 game and then just like judging off of that game. You should give him at least 10 games, but I'm going to break my rule here and get very frustrated and sell Fabian Delph. We take a little bit of a loss, but whatever, it's like 50 coins or something like that. But we do pick up Dele Alli, and then we come up against this guy. So I'm going to assume that Morgan Schneiderlin one to watch is untradeable, or else he's totally crazy for keeping it, because Morgan Schneiderlin is not even a good player, and then he, for whatever reason, decides to keep this card that's worth 10k that he could easily sell. Also, if you look at that back line again, you can rewind it. He had his right back in center mid. He had a center back over playing right back, and then he had his left back playing as the other center mid. So all you had to do was shift them over, and they all would have been on high chemistry. He also had Xherdan Shaqiri playing as his left back, which was shocking. And even more shocking, Xherdan Shaqiri was actually good. He caused me problems. He would like run things down and just caused me total nightmares. But we do come into this game anyway, and similar to the last game, this guy wasn't that great. He was a little bit better, but for the most part, he started, especially as the game went on, he just resorted to running down the wing. So not great opponents in this, but guys that, you know, are going to frustrate you, especially because running down the wings, you're almost so used to defending intelligently that when a guy just runs down the wing and you're jockeying, he'll just run past you because you don't ever expect it in higher divisions. So as much as that sounds idiotic, it was very true. I was so used to playing against really, really good players that would never run down the wing that I wasn't prepared for it. And the guys would just bomb down the wings and whip in crosses. And he actually does open the scoring here. His Theo Walcott, I think that was essentially his first shot after like some kind of mindless shots that he would just take from odd angles, but he does get the bounce there. A little bit frustrated, but at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what? I felt really confident. It was just one of those games that you guys know these. When you play them, you just feel like you're going to win, and this was one of them. I just never really was that concerned. I just felt like I'd always come back. And at the stroke of halftime, Andre Gray here, low-driven, far post. You know, don't give him that much time. I had so much room to get him behind, but again, I just couldn't get the passes through because he was so aggressive defensively, and he was just getting really lucky with it. The computer was just causing so many interceptions for his players that were rushing forward, and he would have these last-ditch interceptions right before I'd get in behind. So I don't know if he was a really good defender or if I was just getting FIFA AIDS, but you know, it was happening, and it was very annoying to play against. We do bring on the man Kareem Frey, and he's going to be somebody to replace Emre Can, because Emre Can was getting really tired. But one of the things that I really wanted to draw people's attention to in this video was Daniel Sturridge. So I've been talking about Daniel Sturridge. He was like the golden child. He scored 3 goals in his first game. I think he scored in the second game. This game, he was shocking. You guys saw the first clip there. I don't know, you might want to go back and check out the start of this game, but he came through on a breakaway, cut across the goal. He is left-footed, so maybe it was my fault for taking with his right foot, but just sprays the ball totally wide. Then on that opportunity, he was right in on goal. All I did was perfect amount of power and low driven to the far post, and he sprays it totally wide. And I was like, what the hell is the matter with him? Like, he missed everything in this game. Not only that, but he had other chances that I ended up cutting out of this. And I think this was another one right here. So I play the ball back, give and go, send him in behind, and look at this. Right through on key. Look at that. Shocking. Like, what the hell is going on with this guy? So, very frustrating from Daniel Sturridge. I don't know what his problem was, but I was so ready to quick sell him after this game, even though he was worth nothing. That's the only reason I was just like, okay, big fella, don't freak out. But I was so annoyed with him. He was so frustrating to play with in this game. Like, those are shocking misses. Like, give me some blame for that, for like taking the shots or whatever, maybe at inopportune times, but right through on goal, and he's not even close to the net. Wasn't even causing a save. Even at the keeper kick save, that I would have been happy. But regardless, we do get another win. This was probably the tightest game that we played in this entire episode, but again, I didn't really feel like it was really that really as close as probably the score made it seem. It should have been way worse. It should have been 5-1 with Daniel Sturridge's misses. Look at those. I even went back and showed them again to show how shockingly bad they were. That one, he was a little bit under duress, I guess. But, you know, 90th minute, you'd expect that to go in. But this one was even worse. Like, look at this. Breakaway, not even close to the net, man. Oh, that is just shocking to me. Like, so frustrating. But Kareem Frey did end up getting the goal, the super sub there. And, you know, just smashed it again. Don't worry about finessing it. Guys that are aggressive with their keeper just smash that ball in. So 2-1, whatever. I'm going to forget about it. We do go out and spend some of the coins here. We get Fernandinho, who's going to be a CDM that I want to use in the next game, just because I did want to solidify that back end. Even though Mendy's been good, I want to have him rotating with Fernandinho. I want Fernandinho to be the main guy. I used him in my main account earlier on in the year, and he was amazing. I also used the coins here from the center forward to Cam to start building up my account balance again, because I want to use those coins to get another player. But that is going to be the end of the episode, guys, so please leave a like on the video, leave any questions you have down in the comments below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode of the Founder Academy. Hopefully it'll be very soon, because I've been itching to play with a lot of these guys. Okay, peace.